Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's Culture Report. I'm Jamal Simon.
I'm Laura Casillas.
I'm DeMarco Randall.
And I'm Antonia Velez.
Awesome. Y'all get used to seeing this little group right here because
Absolutely.
we're about to have a real good time on the Culture Report.
We're about to have
it.
a lot of good conversations.
Absolutely.
I'm
And,
so excited.
we have to start things off with the Oscars.
Of course.
So this week we saw Hollywood's biggest night with Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer taking home the most Oscar awards. There were also great moments from Emma Stone and Divine Joy Randolph as they accepted their awards of their own. So there was plenty to celebrate inside the Dolby Theater, but what grabbed my attention was what was going on outside. So we saw several protests outside the Oscar ceremony over the Israel-Hamas war. They stopped traffic and delayed access for many celebrities. Some had to cut their drive short and walk the rest of the way to the red carpet. So many stars made statements of their own on the carpet, wearing red pins calling for a ceasefire. Mark Ruffalo, Billie Eilish, Ava DuVernay, and Rami Youssef were just a few of the people who wore it. The pin featured an outline of a hand around a black heart. Artists for Ceasefire, the group behind the pin, says it symbolizes collective support for an immediate and permanent ceasefire, the release of all hostages, and for urgent delivery of humanitarian aid to Gaza. Actor Lily Gladstone, who was nominated for Best Actress for her role in Killers of the Flower Moon, paid tribute to a Native American design with a blue velvet Gucci gown created in collaboration with indigenous artist Joe Big Mountain, bringing more representation to Native American designers. So I feel like this isn't the first time we've seen people make, political and social statements on the red carpet. And I mean, a lot of them probably felt obligated to, because if you go on Instagram right now, you see a lot of, under their posts, it's like, speak out about Israel and Hamas, talk about Ukraine. They want people to really help them talk about social issues. So my question to you guys is, what do you think that they feel obligated to do things like this from their fans or just the public in general?
Well, I think that it's natural when, such horrible things are happening in the world for a fan base or people who look up to celebrities to be like, how can you, with your platform, with all the resources you have, just sit back and not say anything? So I think in that sense, they, might feel obligated. I don't know if I don't think anyone's obligated to do anything, death and taxes, the only really obligations that we have in this world. But I do kind of think to some extent, like someone who has a platform and a voice to use it for those who don't,
Yeah, absolutely. I did see Residente. He's a rapper from Puerto Rico that used his voice to actually create change in Puerto Rico. So if you don't believe that actually happens, he joined forces with Bad Bunny and Ricky Martin in 2019. And all three of them, created a song that became like a rallying cry song. And they basically made the governor resign. They were unhappy with the way he handled Hurricane Maria, as well as a bunch of scandals within that administration. So change does happen. And he's calling out a lot of artists, specifically in the urban area or genre, because he says they have these huge platforms. And instead of having the courage of talking about it, they're being indifferent. So you're dehumanizing what's happening. So yes, maybe you can stand back and not get involved, but then how do we see change?
I think there's also that fine line that some of these celebrities mingle with and play with when there's something going on in the world and, they're told to speak out. But do they really care about the issue? And do they understand the issue fully? Or are they just doing it for some sort of publicity gain?
Yeah.
Are they doing it to appeal to their audience?
Some people do because they don't want to get canceled, which is sometimes when I see the comments, I'm like, now why do you want this person to speak out on these issues that they probably know nothing about? Yes, they could do research. Instead of hearing them say something, I would prefer to see something like we saw in 2020 when a lot of people were giving their platform to someone else to speak, because maybe they don't know what to say, but if they really care about it or if they care about their fans who it impacts, they could give somebody else that platform so they can spread that
message.
Right
now they're pushing for ceasing fire. Jamal, it's not like you're taking a side. It's a lot of innocent people are dying. So I think you don't even have to take a side, but to push for ceasing fire, I think should be something that they should do.
And I think too, like goes with the fact that they have privilege and they probably could use it to a good cause. This is an opportunity to educate yourself and others about things that are happening, are impacting real people, and you could create a change. So why not?
Absolutely.
And the important thing there also is that these celebrities have a wide net of people who they reach. So they're gonna get this information out to folks who might not really get that information otherwise. Absolutely. So I do think it's important for these celebrities to use their platform to, shine light on these things that are happening.
Totally.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, so discussions surrounding actress Sydney Sweeney's body are nothing new, but after her appearance on Saturday Night Live earlier this month, things have seemed to get out of control. So, call them the breast that launched 1,000 tweets. A simple dress led to havoc online, leading to one media outlet going as far as calling Sweeney a savior for the people who are tired of the stars that woke Hollywood is trying to thrust upon them, along with diversity, body positivity, and other controversial buzzwords. So, one article, opinion piece in the National Post said, in part, people want to look at beauty on TV, but we're being starved of it because attractiveness is deemed immoral. And also, the abstract of that piece said, we've been pressured into pretending that everyone is beautiful except for those who actually are, which I see what they were trying to say, but that's literally such a joke. I'd happily say that 90% of the stars we see are traditionally attractive. So I don't know. For the people that don't necessarily fit that blonde, bombshell mold, we got a little piece of the cake and everyone's trying to riot. So they're also saying this is the end of wokeness. I don't know how we got there. I don't know how we got from A to B.
I'm so confused on that.
I feel like I missed a step. I feel like I'm confused. I'm also bored. This is just a ridiculous story, ridiculous headlines. And also I feel kind of my immediate reaction to all of this is, why can't a woman just exist on television? Why can't a woman just exist, period? A woman with boobs. She is just a woman with boobs on TV doing her job. Why are people taking her image and spinning it to push their own political agendas? Why do you have to say that she's owning the left or putting an end to wokeness? She is literally just doing her job.
It's unfortunate to see that, but I also have to put some responsibility on the creators, because what they gave her to work with, it was very sexualizing. A lot of the skits that she did, I know it's good fun. It's a show to make you laugh, but seeing her in the cheerleader outfits and the Hooters, all these things where they basically highlighted her sexuality. I mean, does that help matters too? I think my problem is with it is she's a very talented actress. And by her just being, just put out like that, it almost takes away from how smart she is, how funny she actually is. But now it's just oh, she's hot.
Right.
I was just going to say, she also has control over her image, how she wants to present herself. So
Totally.
She chose to participate in those, and she also wore what she wanted to wear. This conversation has been had for a while now. This isn't the first time we've heard this, but the whole end of wokeness thing is new. But she's been showing off her boobs forever. She's young.
I mean, she's a woman with big boobs, or with boobs. That's just, that's her body. It's not necessarily, I guess my question for you, Laura, is, do you think that the portrayal of her, the way she was portrayed and the outfits that she wore, are dumbing her down? Or are we just conditioned to not think of women who look a certain way to be smart, to be not smart or smart?
I think it's both. I don't think women should be judged, but unfortunately, that's just the way America is. The fact that you are beautiful will make you and allow you to advance career-wise to get a job. There's, studies that have been found that your looks will get you, advancement in a lot of areas. So, no, I don't think it should dumb her down, but I think we're still not in a place where they can be hot and smart.
I don't know. When I was reading, do you think that we are actually being starved of traditionally beautiful women right now on screen?
No, beautiful is in the eye of the beholder.
Sure.
Subjective.
Sure. I agree.
I think kind of to answer that question, I don't think that there's been less like traditional looks. I think there's been more people who have gotten the chance to do stuff like in front of the camera and represent their community in a different way rather than just like guest appearing on a certain segment or in that sort of facet.
Yeah. Oh, go for it.
No, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say like I don't even think that like they're trying to say like we're being starved of beauty, like traditional beauty, and I don't see that at all. It's like I see like very few people break out, and it's like they might be bigger, they might be a person of color, they might not look traditionally like how we know movie stars to look. And typically they're cast in like the comedic role or something crazy like that. We still need to work on that.
Right.
But I feel like they're just seeing more of that. But there's in no way are you being starved of the bombshells that you've had for the last several decades.
I'm sad to see it be politicized. Just to end on this note, I think the right doesn't have a celebrity to call their own. They lost Taylor Swift, especially when she like started dating this big football star, and now she's officially been seen on the other side. So now they have Sydney Sweeney. Unfortunately, now she's a part of it.
Without her consent.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Billboard held its 2024 Women in Music Awards, honoring a diverse group of powerful artists. To name a few, rapper Ice Spice won Hitmaker of the Year. Singer Victoria Monet took home the Rising Star Award presented by her mother, and the Group of the Year award went to New Jeans, which became the first K-pop group to win this category. Now, this ceremony also had other historic firsts. Karol G was the first Latina to win Billboard's Women of the Year. After a striking performance with an all-women band, the Colombian singer accepted her award in Spanish.
Y cada vez que me dijeron que no, encontré la fuerza y las ganas y todo lo que necesitaba para decir que sí podía. Y en mi mente cambié el... Una mujer no puede hacerlo por mira a esta mujer cómo lo hace. Mira cómo lo hace una mujer.
Go Karol G.
Love her.
And a new report by UCLA researchers found that in 2023, Hollywood films had their highest share of people of color in front of and behind the cameras. About 1/4 of the top films had a cast that was at least half made of people of color, the highest proportion since UCLA began documenting diversity trends in 2011. The UCLA report also found that audiences, both in the U.S. and internationally, resonated with the movies that have diverse casts. Movies in which people of color made up at least 30% of the cast were 9 of the 10 most seen films globally.
And the annual State of the Union had a fiery start. During President Biden's energetic speech, immigration was a point of emphasis. Controversy came after the term he used when addressing the family of Laken Riley, a woman who was killed in Athens, Georgia by a suspected undocumented migrant. A day later, Biden retracted his choice of words.
Laken Riley, an innocent young woman who was killed by an illegal. I shouldn't have used illegal. It's undocumented.
The GOP response to the State of the Union was provided by Alabama Senator Katie Britt and got just as much attention.
When I took office, I took a different approach. I traveled to the Del Rio sector of Texas. That's where I spoke to a woman who shared her story with me. She had been sex trafficked by the cartels starting at the age of 12.
Girl, ooh, it was terrifying.
Please.
I'm spooked. Not by what she was saying, but how she said it. But let's get into what she said, which I don't like how she... Well, I'll say the woman she's referring to spoke out and said, that's not necessarily how it went down.
It wasn't at all how it went down. The victim spoke out and said, yes, she was a victim of sex trafficking, but it wasn't remotely close to this time period. It happened between 2004 and 2008. George W. Bush was in office, not Joe Biden.
Slightly off.
Yeah, she was not trafficked in the United States, and it wasn't even a cartel. It was a pimp that was enslaving young women.
I think that just also is so important to note, because these people in these positions of power will use these stories of people who have been hurt, who have been damaged, and exploit them
Yeah.
to their benefit.
They use it to promote their political career. They use those little anecdotes like, see, I'm with y'all. Like, I'm out here doing the work. And it's like, yes, thank you. 20 years ago. What about right now? What's happening?
That was disturbing to watch her. She did a horrible job with acting. I was also watching videos of her speaking like naturally. It's complete black and white. I was like, what is going on? Yeah. What did they give her? It was just embarrassing. I felt so bad because if they're trying to appeal to women voters, that was not the way to go at all.
Totally.
And absolutely unnecessary.
Just here, as far as Biden's choice of words, do you think that'll sway anyone's vote?
No, I think the intent behind it wasn't what came out. I think in the heat of the moment, he responded to, this person talking about Laken Riley. And so, no, I don't think it will affect it, but I think we need to be more aware of the use of that word and how damaging it can be to use it, because it's already being like demonized within all these political, chats from all these different political leaders. So it's very important that we pay attention to it and not use it, use undocumented instead.
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think that with President Biden, like referring to them as an illegal and then correcting himself as undocumented, it shows a point of ownership, and it shows also that the correct term is undocumented. You shouldn't be referring to any human as illegal.
And I'll play devil's advocate. Do you guys think that people are giving Biden more grace than they would give someone else? I feel like if someone else in a different party said this, it would be, oh, well, that's what they call us behind closed doors. Like, it just slipped out this time.
I'm not really sure. From what I've seen, I think people have called him out and have kind of put him in his place, so to speak. Like, it's not that he said that and it kind of got swept under a rug. Like, people are calling him out for saying such an othering and just hurtful term. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's also interesting that he as in Biden will try to separate himself from Trump, but in that instance use the same rhetoric that Trump would have used. It's I think that's also why he went out and apologized the next day for saying.
I'm curious why he said it in any way pertaining to that story, but
I just think because when the gal was yelling at him, I didn't hear exactly what her words were, but I think that's what caused it. Again, that's why he shouldn't be ad-libbing during these speeches.
Girl, stick to the script.
Stick to the script, for sure. But no, let's avoid that term.
Yeah.
Moving forward. All right. For many women, International Women's Day is not a day to celebrate. It's a day to protest injustices and fight for equality. That was certainly the case this year, according to the Associated Press, as women from all over the world took to the streets to demand things like justice, equal pay, education, and reproductive rights. In Latin America, where violence against women is still rampant, protesters in Mexico condemned the high rates of femicide and disappearances of women. In Mexico, an average of 21 women have gone missing every day in 2024, according to NBC. The AP reports at least 30,000 people marched the streets of Mexico City in what some officials are calling the biggest International Women's Day demonstration on record.
A Guatemalan farm worker has been cleared of charges in the heart attack death of a Florida sheriff's officer. The case drew celebrity attention and prompted nationwide petitions for his freedom. Last May, Virgilio Aguilar Mendez was arrested outside a Super 8 hotel. The St. Johns County Sheriff's Office said body cam footage showed a, quote, by-the-book arrest of a suspect whose resistance led to the officer's heart failure. In the video, deputies shoot Aguilar with a taser several times as he repeatedly says that he doesn't speak English. Aguilar Mendez's attorney says his client was a victim of police brutality in an arrest that should have never happened.
The owners of a new LGBTQ salon in Denver believe their business was vandalized by a member of their own community. On Above Ground's opening day, owners found their pride flag vandalized with a message that suggested trans people were child molesters.
It said specifically like gay pride is okay, but leave the trans out of it. We're all minorities in the eyes of the man, so it kind of sucks that's where they decide to take out their anger is on people in their community. It's shocking to me.
Well, I think that you're seeing a lot more, people acting out in these ways and being vocal about it because they have Legion now. They have people behind them and they have the support of the cishet community that's coming and having their back on these issues, you know?
This blows my mind. Not this instance in particular, just the whole idea that a queer person could also be anti-trans, because I've seen it a lot. It happens so often. I've encountered so many people who would be like, oh, well, you know, like, I'm gay, but, like, that doesn't mean I agree with the trans lifestyle.
What does that even mean? You're part of this community.
I don't know. And it's not even just trans people, like, in this instance. Like, there's a big racial issue within the queer community. People are, like, femphobic. It's like, I don't know what it is with anything other than gay. It's weird to talk about. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know how you're supposed to win a battle against, you know, to try to get more rights, equal rights, you know, in this community, if within that same community you're already so divided.
Right. It's like we're preaching nonstop for equality every single day. Like, when you turn on the news, it's like we're preaching for something, things that, you know, we rightfully should be, but then we can't even accept people in our own community. And I feel like it's wild, especially for them to be against trans people, when trans people fought for the rights that they have today. They wouldn't have those rights if it weren't for trans people. So, like, what is happening?
I know. It's so sad. Like, it's supposed to be, like, we're supposed to hold each other, like, uplift each other and support each other. And when a community that's already being targeted by all sides also has enemies, so to speak, within their circles, their close circles, like, that's just so disheartening.
It's hurtful. It's a lot more hurtful when it comes from within your same group.
Yeah.
I don't know how we win battles that way. I really don't. And I'm sorry, like, to see this, I don't know, even like the people that feel already unsafe, like, how do you even go to your own community?
Right.
To feel that space.
And like Ash was saying, I forgot what I was gonna say. Like Ash was saying, they feel like they can do it now. They're more emboldened to do so because, especially with all the anti-trans legislation that has come through, and they feel like they have the backing of the cis het community. They're like, oh well, you know, I'm not the only one that thinks like this. I have a whole community of people right here, and I'm like, those people don't even want you. I promise.
Exactly.
What do you mean?
That is the kicker of it all. Like, it's bizarre. It's very sad.
Do better. And for the people that have people like this in their friend groups, please call them out, because I feel like they are able to get away with it because they do it in secret, or I don't know, like, people feel uncomfortable having those conversations. But don't, like, wrong is wrong, like, and we will not be able to progress as, you know, as gay people, as queer people in general, if we aren't on the, like,
I love that.
on
I
the,
love that
you know,
word.
on the same note.
Yeah. Hold your loved ones accountable.
Do better.
Progress. That's the word I was looking for.
Progress.
Thank you. But let's hop on into this week's good news, guys. Beyonce's upcoming album officially has a name, Cowboy Carter. The name of the new country album was revealed on her website Tuesday. It represents Act 2 of her Renaissance trilogy. Act 1 was released in 2022. Beyonce already has 2 singles out, 16 Carriages and Texas Hold'em, which sat at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart for 2 weeks. Cowboy Carter is out March 9th.
And if we can continue to offer some support until they get their work permit, until they get a job, until they are able to support themselves, we can help create an even more vibrant community in Denver.
And a newspaper in Colorado is empowering migrants and highlighting their experiences. The Denver Voice provides economic opportunities for those struggling with financial and housing instability by selling papers that tell their stories. Now, the newspaper is uplifting migrants and their voices, even if they're in different languages.
It's time to welcome the newest Hall of Famer to the Hollywood Walk of Fame, Lenny Kravitz!
This isn't my star. This is our star. Thank you all for this, and let love rule.
Let love rule. Rock icon Lenny Kravitz received the Hollywood honor of a lifetime. This week, he got his name cemented in history on the Walk of Fame.
And the owner of Club Q, an LGBTQIA+ nightclub in Colorado Springs, says they'll be reopening in its original location. Back in November of 2022, 5 people were killed there in a shooting. In October of the following year, they said they plan to move operations to a new location. Well, the owner is still working to make that happen in a few weeks, but the end goal is now to reclaim the original location. I know that there's a lot of heartbreak, a lot of bad memories there, but I feel like it's so great and so important to, reclaim that space and create new memories and honor all those lives that were lost.
Totally honor those safe spaces.
Yeah,
for
don't let
that
people scare you out of your safe space.
community. Totally.
I think that to bring it back to that place too is uplifting.
Absolutely.
It's powerful.
It sends a
because
message.
there's this tragic event that happened where people lost their lives. And to have a place where these people can go to again in the same community is huge.
Absolutely.
I agree.
I think y'all are doing great work. We'll definitely give you updates.
Cowboy Carter, I just need to hear your
Oh,
thoughts on
Cowboy
that.
Carter, Club Q, y'all better be bumping some Beyonce. And notice, this is the second time that we've mentioned Beyonce, and it wasn't me. So
I knew you were dying to do so.
I know. It's your turn next.
Okay, fine.
Just wait.
I have
March
no qualms
March
with that.
29th, y'all. Be ready. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining this week's Culture Report. We'll be back to continue the conversation next Thursday right here on 9 News Plus and 9news.com.